at this, fam. Good evening, everyone. I am Brad Chester, the healthiest and tallest man in all of 40K. And I am here with... Ta-da!
Ryan Horton.
And Thomas Ogden, the most active 40K player there is.
True story. That guy can't be stopped. He's in every tournament.
Every tournament.
It would be better if, like, I found out later that you've been actually just doing all these, like, super obscure places. Tom's just been killing RTTs and Guadalajara. You're just like, what?
Didn't you know he's like spending a lot of time over in London?
Yeah.
You've been actually all of the things and some of the stuff.
So, how was your guys' weekend?
Fantastic. I went out to Everwinter at Boston. I got to give it to the Rhinoceros Rex. He took care of me out there. Got me. Mr. Alex Singh took me to the airport in the middle of a storm when I left last night. And the event was held by, I can't remember the group now because I'm an old man, but they did a great job. The AOS tournament was fantastic also. It was a nice jam. Congratulations to Mr. Sean Nate. He was one of 3 undefeateds and powered through and won the event. It was myself, Mr. Sam Pope, and Thomas Ogden, and Sean Naden that rocked it out.
So, there was a storm there?
It was like all nasty. My plane got delayed 2.5 times because they said it was going to be delayed one more, but we ended up boarding. It was no bueno. Lyle coming to the $5 super chat. When I clicked on the video, I got a video game ad warning: intense violence, nudity, and gore. I thought it was for this. That's where you're right. It is for this. The second half of this video is going to be real weird.
With a lot of Slanesh, apparently.
Yes, so much Slanesh.
That's just normal for us, ain't it?
Yeah. Tom is owning the Antarctica scene. You don't even know. Team Antarctica is going to come in pushing hot fire.
Yeah, I mean, no one's winning any events down there except me because that's my home.
So
Hey, wait a second. One of my locals went to Antarctica and served down there for the last year and just got back. So,
yeah, I'm hoping anybody at least sang the title in the song. It's beginning to look a lot like a stable meta. However,
if we look at the meta Monday, I mean, can anyone agree that they probably nerfed Aldari too hard? I mean, only 2
GT wins. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. How rough it must be to be an Eldar player right now.
Also, it was not a super eventful weekend overall. We didn't have a lot of big events. Of course, as we get closer to the Christmas season, they get less and less. But Everwinter was the biggest, correct, Brad? That you went and you were at that one.
Yep. It was a smaller weekend, but it's going to be that way, like you said, for December.
What'd you run there?
I ran the list, like, the list where I kept trying to convince you to play Marnius Calgar.
Oh yeah. You convinced me to run that. That's right.
Yep.
I
ran the Ultramarines
One was like, this Marnius Calgar is way better than a Dark Angel is, and then the other one was like, no time, you're totally wrong. I was like, no, Brad, it's way better. Just do me a favor, play it once or twice. Let me think. Get a drunk call from Brad. You were totally right. This number is awesome, and I have no more CP issues. Thank you.
I mean, you might have been right about that. I've been wrong. I'll be wrong again. I do have to point out to the wall here. The meta is not truly stable to CSM and Eldar drop 5 to 10%, probably. For the tournament, I literally played a mirror match. I was just telling the guys that I played a mirror match, then I played, excuse me, Eldar and CSM for the rest of the tournament. And those armies are tough, man. It's just, CSM is just crazy in the fact that you're just like, hey, what can you do? I've got a range of 27 inches. that seems like a lot. Is that special? Nah, that's just my normal things that I do. So, and Chosen just hit so wildly hard. And
Oh,
the 3 wounds is actually just so annoying too, to be perfectly honest with you.
yeah.
So give us a quick scenario. You played against Eldar and KSA Springs a lot, it sounds like. What was your MVPs in your list if you're running the Calgary list?
The 6-man Devastator unit. It's what the Inceptors are like the workhorse. They're always good all the time. They don't really spike up, they just always do work. The guys that can pull a game out because of the sheer damage and everything is that 6-man Centurion Devastator unit. It just bounces every turn to a great spot and just add that huge volume. The fact that the missiles have blast is just bonkers town sometimes because you're just like, hey, see, you've got a big ass squad of something. It would be a shame if I had 63 plus 24 shots coming at you. So, and then the Stratfor, of course, +1 to hit and +1 AP. And they innately reroll ones. It's such a big deal. That unit performed really, really well over the weekend.
So your Centurions did great. What else did you like?
The Inceptors are just, I mean, I'm running 15 Inceptors. So the Inceptors are just nuts. I don't think
663.
663. I don't know if they're going to go unscathed over the data slate.
All plasma, or are you running a 3-man bolter still?
I ran 6 plasma, 6 bolter, and then 3 bolter. And the 6.
How did your 6 bolter compare to the 6 plasma?
It was hit and miss. To be honest with you, I'm very back and forth about it. I probably will just go 6 plasma and then 3 bolter. But the bolter is just so nice sometimes when you want to get that volume into a bigger squad. Just because you can oath it and then just search for 6s on it. And those double exploding 6s are a big deal sometimes. So it's just to tell you the truth, it's kind of what's in the meta for whether I want bolters or plasma. I'm always going to take at least 1 plasma because they're just fantastic versus other Marines. They're great versus Chosen and things of that nature because of the 3 damage. It's just, that volume of shots is sometimes really there. And also just overcharging sometimes is scary. I didn't have any terrible turns with them. I think the most I killed was 2 in an overcharge turn. It's pretty big on that.
How did the Calgar bomb do for you?
Calgar bomb did really well. It was funny. The first game I played, I just played straight mirror match, and it was funny because both of us on our first 2 turns just killed the other person's Calgar bomb. just dropped on Inceptors and just murdered them. So nothing on turn 1. The Calgar survived on both sides and put a beating on some stuff, but everybody else died. But I loved it over the course. I mean, it just puts up a volume of shots. It's just crazy on that. You're just
What was
rolling.
the underperformer in that list?
The 3-man sense was always okay. It wasn't really an underperformer. It's just when you have that big unit that's bouncing around, the problem is you can only pick one thing up. So typically what I'm doing is I'm either picking up the big 6-man or I'm picking up a unit Inceptor so I can deep strike them back somewhere again. You know what I mean? So like the 3-man ended up...
Or the Calgar bomb if it's alive.
Or yeah, exactly. Or the Calgar bomb if it's alive, And the 3-man kind of just moves super slow. So sometimes it's shooting non-optimal targets because of its slow movement.
The 3-man's kind of nice if you get to the point where like they've crippled the Calgar bomb and they killed your Inceptors and they crippled the 6-man. But at that point, you might be losing the game anyway. The 3-man can do nothing, but it just gives you that one fallback.
So if you had to replace that 3-man, what would you think of replacing it with?
That's hard on that. I mean, I ran Eradicators and an original one, but the problem is I just don't like getting so close. You know what I mean? Because you can't do anything unless you're at 18. And it's nice because you're full rerows versus vehicles and monsters, but you're right there on somebody. So it's just, and I'm already doing really close range firepower with the Inceptors, so I have to trade those a lot. So I like the being able to just be farther away. So that'll be more testing on that. And the 3-man wasn't bad. It was just sometimes it was just not in the best spot. You know what I mean? You kind of had to put it somewhere and slowly eke your way over and make it a threat from a lane more so than anything. Let me go to the wall a little bit on this, guys. And then I want to go back to those games. 100% KR. If somebody has 27 chickens, they are buying all the drinks because they have all of the money in the universe because those are wildly expensive. You definitely got to subscribe to my OnlyFans as well as my Lorecast. And it did not
Brad
hurt.
doesn't have only hands. He has only hands.
Only hands, exactly. Does it hurt your soul that Sean was rocking Gaz? Absolutely not. Because I love Gaz in the lore. Yeah, but that's it. Blau coming with $2. You could pick up both things with Blood Angels. Oh God, what is up with your love? You've got a love affair going on with Blood Angels, Lau. You're loving those bros. That is the thing.
And this was the last weekend of the current meta because we get AdMech and Necrons next week.
Correct. And I think that both will have a slight impact. I think Necron's wildly more because I think you're going to see right away a lot of Canoptic, and you're going to see a shit ton of different versions of Hypercrypt with the bouncing around. But I think that one's going to just take longer to figure out the secret sauce. I think, Dorian, Vindicators are too expensive for my taste, but that's how I play.
Quick, we got Mr. Meta Monday himself in the chat. When are you gonna grace us with your presence on the show and come around and just chat the meta with us? I think that'd be really sweet. What do you think, Brad? Brian?
Absolutely.
I love having them on.
Open invitation.
Yeah. Tell us when you want to come on here and just bullshit the meta with us. It'd be awesome to have you have a face to the voice and tell us what you think. I think it'd be fun to have him on here.
Also, 100%. Evan, I completely agree. A lot of people play and own Necrons because they were a key army last edition.
Well, they were also half of that box, so a ton of people just got them from that. You know what I mean? Because that was a great value box when the Indominus box. So you had a ton of people getting Necrons that way also.
I actually think there's a couple different builds that aren't being talked about yet, but as we test them more, we'll find out if they're any good. But I really think that AdMech are slightly overlooked. Yes, they are an expensive army cash dollar-wise to build per point, but there's some really interesting builds there.
Agreed on that. I do think that you're going to find... I think it's going to be spamless. Keep going in a $2 super chat. Are Canoptic the only detachment meta-worthy? No, I think that you're going to see... Canoptic is the one that I think you see right away because it is really good. But I think that the Hypercrypt is going to be really, really good. But we have to figure out what is really good in it. Because those rules are fantastic. Bouncing things around is always going to be amazing. It's just, what are you bouncing around? Because you want to put the most damage down, the most efficiency, and that's going to be a lot of shooting units moving around and doing things. It's just which ones you want to use. I haven't figured out exactly what I want bouncing around because you have to have some trash, you have some damage, and what's the secret sauce of that? I don't know yet. It's going to take more reps with that. But Canoptic seems really, really good. I really like that list a lot. Like, we came up with a couple versions of the Canoptic, but they all seem really, really good because those guys are really durable. You've got the Power Matrix giving full rerolls to hit. You got OC2 on the race, and they're very durable. You've got one that's infiltrating. You've just got a lot of ability to really take away points from your opponent, not just score for you. There's not that many armies that just negate points for your opponent, and that's an army that can really do that.
I actually have been thinking about playing Necrons myself because I've always loved race. I own like 24 of them, and then that detachment just seems like a lot of fun to run, like a mass race.
Well, it's not even just a mass race. It's the fact that scarabs get good with that. The spiders get good with that. And there's some other interesting little things you can do attached to it with standard Necron units that make things very interesting.
But also the race went from 3 wounds to 4, right?
They're 4 wounds and they've got a 5 up. The 4 up. The biggest things is they're going through walls and they have fly, so they're beasts with fly because they get infantry when they have the Technomancer with them. And they've got that 5 up in pain, 4 up in 5 up in pain, plus they're doing mortal wounds on people when they fly over them. It's just a good unit. I mean, it's solid, it's consistent. It's not OP, it's just really solid, really durable. And with the other things, the Nightbringer is just a son of a bitch now. Slow as piss now. Yeah. They move 6. But dude, his damage being D6 plus 2 means just he's putting people down. You know, his min damage is just picking people up.
They're half damage though, right?
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that with the bounce around detachment that everyone's talking about is that you can run just 6 Satans.
Yeah, because you bounce everywhere and they heal every turn.
Yep. They heal every turn, they half damage, they have good involves, feel no pains. It's pretty good, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but then at that point, you're just relying on 9-inch charges, though, right?
well, you're looking to shoot.
Yep.
The bounce army is looking to shoot things. You can't reliably ever think you're going to get.
Yeah, but if
charges.
you're running 6 Satans, I'm saying you're relying on the charges at that point.
A little bit of that. They have a bunch of damaging things. It's just people just don't do anything to you.
Yep.
I'm going to go to the wall real quick. OnePlus said he's found the secret sauce. It's just all of the pew-pews with destroyers. Hyper says, Brian goes, half the problem with Hyper is that some of the strats are dead. KR is going with what you were talking about, Tom. He says just Marines just use 3 units of infiltrators to stop a lot of the nonsense. That is a real thing, by the way.
Yep.
I was telling Brad, I think 3 infiltrators is almost like auto take for me. It really screws with the mirror matches, like a lot of the Marine builds, especially infiltrators. I remember interceptors, I mean. And then you have I think you're gonna see a lot of armies that's gonna have some kind of bounce around mechanics. You know, when we first saw it for Grey Knights, we're like, wow, that's like super strong, and I think we see like 3 armies with it now. So I think you're just gonna start seeing a lot of tricks, and it just shuts them down. It's like almost an auto win.
Yeah,
I actually think infiltrators are going to become massive because of that reason.
I'm looking to put another one in 100%, guys.
And I think part of the reason for that is the other units, the other armies that are doing well are a little bit hoardy, right? And that's more bolter shots that get rid of chaff.
Yeah, but I think you can't go less than 2. I can see an argument where it's only 2 because there's a lot of good options in Marines right now. But I think if you're like someone's just taking 1 right now, you gotta rack it up to 2 at least. I like 3. That's one thing me and Brad differ in our list. And I still like Eradicators. He's running the 3rd Centurion squad. I like Eradicators over it.
Well, if I ran another unit of infiltrators, I might be forced to that though, because I might have to go to Eradicators and a 2nd infiltrator. Because right now I'm running triple scouts.
We still gotta find a few points in because you're looking at 100 plus 95 and the
175. 175.
So 20 points. Yeah.
I'd have to find 20 points. It's just I think that I need the other unit infiltrators because there is a lot of stuff coming down that have bounce around, and we've seen every codex have something that moves people around. So I think that if you have the ability, Mystic GK, just anybody that gives you that bubble, that infiltrator rule that they have, and there's several people that have it. I think you're almost going to be forced to start using that, to be honest with you, with it looking like we're going to get more and more of that. Because you just can't have people in your backfield, and like every Marine army has Inceptors, and you just can't have them. It's funny because like I've watched people like just go, screw it. I'm just not bothering trying to screen out 3-inch deep strikes. Just I'll deal with it when it happens, kind of thing. But Greg says that 2 infiltrators because I'm locking down my backfield. Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal in that. I ended up, the thing is just because of like that first round, I had to actually run infiltrators with Phobos on my home field objective just because I wanted to not have any shenanigans with it for that. So it's tough.
I agree with KR. You're also pushing out rapid ingress a lot too. So.
Oh, 100%.
And that's like at Everwinter, didn't Tyranid Endless Swarm go also 5-0?
Sampo? That was the Sampo ran that. I really wanted to play that, by the way. I wanted to play Sam with that. More of a maybe fun game, but like I wanted to see if I had enough bullets to take that down. I think I do, but I have not played.
Missile launchers.
Well, it's the missile launchers in Calguy's unit because you can basically pick up 2 of them and charge 1.
Does the Necrons hit the app this week?
The Necrons are in the app already.
I say they're already in the app.
Yeah.
I'll have to stop and get a book this week then, if I can start playing with it. I really want to figure out if I love Marines right now. I'm enjoying them a lot, and but I also love Wraiths. Like it's hard for me to not try to build a Wraith army.
I love it. OnePlus say this is the most non-Agron thing of all time. I went to an RTT over the weekend, and Agron deployed teleport homers twice. and also fell back from combat to storm a hostile objective. I'm not unangry, but 5 points is 5 points.
5 points is 5
Look,
points.
the ride home was, look, man, we're not going to talk about this anymore.
That's got to be one of your boys, Brad, because I don't know how many times I heard Brad say, you know what, $5 is $5.
What? It is.
No, but I don't know. I'm excited to see what Necrons do. I think the meta gets shaked up. But my question is, we're not seeing another data slate until after LVO, right? Or do you think it'll be right before it?
It should be after LVO. Because
Unfortunately,
they're going to probably use the data from LVO to help influence that a little bit.
So,
I think it's
This will
already
be a
set on
last
that. I,
minute
I feel like they got it set. I really wish we were using the data slate for LVO. It's just, I've said this a million times. I'm sorry, but just like, it's just the first big, tournament of the year, the biggest tournament of the year in the beginning. And I just want to use all the new stuff.
That's the first big tournament where we're going to see AdMech and Necrons at its full extent.
do you think Necrons and AdMech are going to stabilize the meta, or do you think it has a chance of hurting it? Because if they hurt everyone below Eldar and Space Marines,
I don't think that they do, though. I think that they are on par with other things right now. I think that they're basically going to be somewhere below Eldar and CSM.
I think if you took all 4 of the codexes and only used those in a tournament and knocked everything else out right now, you'd have a really balanced tournament with some very interesting things going on. I think all the codexes so far have been written really balanced, where there's like 1 or 2 good builds in there, but nothing that's super dominating and oppressive, which makes me happy and looking forward to the future.
Yeah. So it probably will. Both the guys are talking about it's going to be one before. I like the books right now so much. And we throw shade at GW, but the codexes they've put out so far have been just fantastic. They just have.
I haven't actually thrown any shade at GW this year. I think their events have been really cranking up. I think they run the best events, and it hurts my soul because coming from someone who runs events, I just think their events are fantastic, and I love the codexes. I was one of those people naysayers in the very beginning before I took like my hiatus in the beginning of this edition. I was like, I don't know, man. It seems like it's getting kind of weird. Like they really blew up Ninth. I thought Ninth was like the golden age. I didn't understand why they did it. And then now we're so many months, like 8 months to 9 months. How long are we in? 9 months in this new meta or new edition? I mean.
Well, I don't count I literally don't consider the edition to have released until the first data slate. So we had 2.5. They have 10 weeks of the dark times where we just expunge it from memory, and then we've been playing since basically a week or 2 after Nova, and that's when I start counting it.
It's been great. I think the codex design is good. I think they finally got rid of codex creep. Hopefully, they don't mess that up.
So far, I mean, we're 4 codexes in, right? And all of the codexes feel very balanced against each other. This is one of the times where I go, I think they're getting it right. I don't want to give them full credit yet because there's still a long way to go. But everything so far, I think they've hit out of the park for this edition after the data slate and the codex releases, where there's been a lot of balance in them. I don't feel like anything. There's nothing where I've got to go, oh, they really need to FAQ that day one. There's a problem. Where before in 9th and 8th in particular, there was times where we were like, oh my God, what were they thinking? And it doesn't feel like that right now. It actually feels like they put a lot of forethought into these things.
Yeah. I even like their train, to be honest with you. I was upset at first. I was like, why would you change everything? Like for people who dropped all this money on getting their train sets for their tournaments. And the more and more I've played like the 10th edition train setup, I actually like them. I like the missions too. Like I really like this edition actually.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go with the missions after Leviathan is over, because if they're sticking to the every 6 months some new mission cards, it'll be interesting to see where they go come February time would be the time that would drop.
We should have a new season for the new data slate.
February, late February, early March. So I would assume probably before Adepticon would be my guess.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the dates on that for sure.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Care. Like, there's going to be codexes and people that are not happy right now because their codex ain't performing well, like Custodes and GSC, right?
Well, those aren't custodes. Or I'm sorry, those aren't codexes. That's just still Index Hammer.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a few people left in the dark, but the majority of the armies are. I think we have a healthier meta now.
Yeah,
besides the Eldar.
I think for Custodes, we've kind of determined that if they rolled back some of the nerfs, they'd be just fine. Right? GSC, if they did a little bit of points tweak, they'd be perfectly fine. And I don't even think it's a major tweak; it's just some minor stuff.
Well, they just fixed their rules to be where they probably should be, and then they did.
Yeah,
you have to roll back point nerfs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you take the mechanics away, you gotta give them the points back.
The only thing that's a difficult balancing act, in my opinion, that they have to, that I think they need the codex to fix them, is knights. Because if they roll back the point nerfs, is it too much? Because that much high toughness is a little bit difficult to deal with. The towering thing, if they revert, that would be terrible. So that one, I hope the codex fixes. Outside of that, I think most everything can kind of be brought in line with a data slate. Maybe not Drukari, because I don't think you can point them correctly to where it's feasible. Those need some
Drukari need mechanics. It's just everything that they used to do was just invalidated by what the game went to, the higher toughness and everything else.
And it's very fun. It's very fun right now hearing a lot of the rumor mongers on YouTube with the redacted codex coming up. There's like the big circulating thing right now is it's going to be Imperial agents, which makes me kind of happy because that would just be something fun to have in the game.
Screw those guys.
I don't know, I think a lot of the index books just need better mechanics or just little slight fixes. Like that's what you're gonna see when you get the codexes, because they're gonna go from one detachment to X amount, Yeah.
Hey, Grey Knights, like the only army I think that just fundamentally is going to have a problem right now, besides Drukari, is Grey Knights, just because their weapons don't kill high toughness things.
Sure, but they have great rules. It's just
the rules are fantastic.
It's very.
If you give them a unit or two that can kill tanks, or you give them a tank that kills tanks, it would be interesting to see.
Yeah, I love it. The meta is just better with Red Knights. I'm excited for the Orc Codex, to be honest with you. Obviously, as an Orc, somebody that plays Orcs. But I would love to see.
I want to see the Tau Codex.
Yeah. I've been really happy with all the codexes that have been out. So, like, I would really like to see what they do for detachments with Orcs. It's my only complaint of Orcs is they don't have differences, different detachments that are really cool. Because Orcs should have wildly different armies, speed freaks, freebooters,
snake bites.
I'm super excited to play snake bites, to be honest with you. There's something about it. I really want an army that is just old angry orcs, not dwarves, that are telling them back in our day we didn't use all this newfangled machinery. You're like, their technology is crap in the first place. They just believe in it. But I just want to have my models, everything modeled with "get off my lawn" on the trucks and stuff. Just decrepit. I'll keep going. Get. Just have them all drive El Caminos with Clint Eastwood driving.
We're not getting any more codexes before LVO, right?
We could get Orcs. I mean, maybe.
No.
No period?
Because you got to look, the last release before the cutoff date is the Kill Team box that they announced this weekend, which comes out on the 13th of January.
So are they going to release Orcs at LVO then?
Orcs should be pre-order that weekend.
Okay. I mean, it sucks you can't play them there, but it is kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, at least there'll be a big talking point there.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is at the LVO reveal, they'll probably be talking about the big talking point will probably be, my guess is the redacted codex and then the upcoming new models, in particular for Dark Angels, because apparently the entire line's getting a refresh. There's apparently a brand new unit for Dark Angels that's never been seen before. So
Ooh,
that'll
that would
be
be cool.
that'll be a big.
Now, we're doing orcs then D8, or is it D8 then orcs? I thought it was the other. It was orcs then D8.
I'd have to look at the roadmap again.
But
New Marines sounds good.
Yeah, so Dark
one or the
Angels and
other.
Orcs are at the same time.
Yeah. So, you think it's going to be a dual type release though, just like they did at Mech and Necrons?
It wouldn't be a shocker to me if they did a Dark Angels versus Orcs box set, or just like a Dark Angel box set and then an Orc box set introducing some new stuff.
Now, this is my halfway point where I have to point out, everyone, please like and subscribe. It does help a ton for the metrics for us, keeps us moving, keeps me from living under a bridge. So, thank you very much.
Why are you still underneath the bridge then?
What's that?
Because that's where the
Because I
where the
just
little
enjoy it.
trolls live.
I just do like it.
You know
Do I have to drink my own urine? But it's sanitary, and I enjoy it.
Oh.
So
You know what I like
again,
about your house, Brad? Is the spiders.
so that Codex roadmap
Spiders
is
everywhere.
Dark Angels, Orcs, Custodes, Tau, and Chaos Space Marines in spring, and then in summer the Redacted Codex, Gene Stealer Cult, and Adeptus Sororitas.
Wonder where we're gonna get that stuff. I mean, I would love for them to just out of nowhere just slam down DA and orcs to be legal for LVO. That would be awesome sauce.
Like we did like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I just like that shit though, man. I like having to scramble and do stuff. I know a lot of people don't, but I also don't pay anything, so it makes it real easy for me.
So Custodes got like legal, and then everyone just ran it up with Custodes. Like if you able to just submit your list, it was just great. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, I didn't play Custodes.
I don't know, it's one of it's very strange as like, because Frontline and Games Workshop have a working relationship. They're not in bed with each other or anything like that. They just have a working relationship. You would think that things would get planned out around that event a little bit come this time of year for releases, but their stockholders don't care what goes on at LVO.
Well, also, I think Games Workshop's trying to not let it be the premier event anymore. Like they want to make like their own championship and it be like the biggest thing.
They're for those who don't know, I know that every TO that had a qualifier for Worlds 2023 got an email this week about Worlds 2024.
Yeah, they're gonna. Well, they're not just the TOs, but the players as well.
Yeah,
like that they're doing it different next year.
so it's going to be. I have a feeling that Games Workshop is going to run quite a few qualifiers themselves, and they're going to try and get as many qualifiers because they want more and more people at their World Championship.
True story.
Although I think what they have 174 this year, I will bet you they're going to gun for 300 plus next year.
Carmona coming out of the woodwork. He's saying they're going to give him an RKO out of nowhere. Screw them. Pure adversarial relationship.
Yep.
Things are going down south.
Yeah, I mean, at one point, FLG, this is the way I can put it. FLG in 7th edition kind of saved the tournament scene by FAQing and coming up with their own house rules and everything else. And Games Workshop was not involved in the tournament scene. That all changed in 8th and 9th.
Oh, they had the international FAQ back in 5th edition. Like before I even went to national events, everyone knew about it. You downloaded it and you used it at even smaller TDs.
Yeah,
because the FAQs and new codex were so far and few between. Like I remember when I first played Brad, we were in 5th edition. My first time I ever played Brad,
we had no rules, man. It was crazy. Yeah. We had no updates on the old books. Codex,
yeah, like it's a brand new Grey Knight codex. It was awesome. I beat him.
God damn. Let it go. Let it go.
I'm not letting go. I'm fine with that. I'm not upset. He was upset. We were friends for a year because of it. She got so upset you lost to a no-name.
Oh my God. You were such a liar.
That is a true story, Brad. We were not friends for the first year we knew each other.
It had nothing to do with that game, you turd.
Yeah, it was because you said I couldn't use my assault ramps because it was a universal special rule in third edition, and it wasn't in the codex like it was like Marines were in fifth edition. I remember it clear as day.
So do I. Still had nothing to do with anything.
I remember I looked at you and said, "What do you mean I can't assault you out of my Land Raider? You don't have assault ramps. It says assault ramps right here." Yeah, but when that codex was written, it was in the universal rule section.
I'm not even going there. Literally
Tell me that
judge
interaction didn't happen, Brad. Tell me that interaction didn't
It's
happen.
not what happened. But let's go to the Marines right now, because we were talking about them earlier.
Yeah, I want to switch stories.
It wasn't. I'm not going to make our.
100%
Hold on. Let's go.
Let's go to the
Look at that a little
Marines.
bit.
Yes. So we've got a ton of Marine data now, and we've got a lot of the detachments just doing work.
Yep.
They're all looking like they're okay. No one's really popping out either. The Iron Storm is ahead of pretty much everybody, but everybody's winning at a decent rate. Basically in the GW sweet spot for sure.
Well, it's like this. The Stormlance is the one that's starting to gain steam, right? That's the one that's picking up more and more players into it. Why is that?
I think it's people wanting to play a certain type of feel of army. You know what I mean? And they're figuring out. I mean, they still have one of the best strats in the entire game. Two of them, to be honest with you. If you want to play anything mounted, where you're looking at like things like Space Wolves coming in, -1 to hit, -1 to wound, and then a first turn rapid ingress are bonkers town. So that's just a big deal on that. You know, to have something as powerful as that. Well, Tom, what would you look at if you weren't looking at the Vanguard right now?
For Marines?
Yep.
Like into this instance, or if I was actually like I was like 6-7 months ago where I was actually practiced.
When you practice stuff, I'm saying that like you're looking for.
Templars.
Say again.
Templars. If I was to pick a different army right now, though, it's kind of
No, but like which are the detachments? Would you go with the Righteous Crusaders detachment, the actual Black Templar detachment?
No, I kind of like what do you call it? Gladius.
Gladius is so super strong.
I like Gladius. I like Vanguard better for Black Templars, but if I had to pick one, I was playing Templars that you're like Vanguard didn't exist, it'd probably be Gladius. But if I had to pick a codex up like right now and I had to go to a tournament and I couldn't use Vanguard because I'm not really practiced, I would do. I think it was the Iron Storm, right? That's the Iron Hands one.
Yeah,
I would do that. Just like it takes no practice to play it.
Yeah, and it's got rerolls and everything. You know what I mean? And it's got.
And I'm not insulting it for anyone who plays it. It's just it's a code. I think it's pretty smart to play it because you don't have to exert a lot of mental fortitude while you're playing, and you can stay kind of fresh. And it's just I'm gonna just try to beat you by outmaneuvering you and having just consistent ability to do what I want. I think it's a good army.
100%. What about yourself, Brian? What are you thinking when you look at these?
So when I'm looking at Space Marines in particular,
Yep, detachment wise.
If I had to pick for detachments, the one that I want to try out personally is the Firestorm, because I haven't put it on the table yet, and I think it's just got some interesting play. I like the idea of it. I would need to practice it a bit more. The only one that I can't see putting on the table is the First Company. That's the one that it just doesn't have any feel.
And it is barely played. It is 33 total games, as opposed to 5, 6, 1,000. Gladius and Ironstar both have 1,200 and 1,100 games in. So there's a lot of games. And the thing is when you're looking at the meta right now, they're not winning at the highest percentages, but they make up a huge amount of what you're going to see in tournaments. So you have to be at least generally familiar with what these can do, because you're going to play against them.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.
Like, what's the thing that you're looking forward to playing outside of what you're currently playing, Brad? What's the thing you're looking forward to playing the most and trying out in a tournament setting?
New Orcs. New Orcs for sure. Because I'd like to play something like Snake Bites.
Of what's current, so we'll say prior to those books coming out, what are you looking at?
Like the things that are out right now.
Things that are out right now. What would you like to try
in a tournament? The thing that I probably will be most possible on in a tournament outside of the things I'm already playing is the Canoptic Wraiths. I just like that army just a lot. It just offers a lot. I think it looks basic, but I think that it has a lot of opportunities for different play styles depending on the missions. Because you don't have to be crazy aggressive. It's just a threat. It's why world eaters eat, even though they look like a simplistic army, is you can set up, you can dominate the board by giving the threat of the fact that you can go out and do stuff. And that Canoptic army can do that. Plus, never look down at full rerolls, man. You know what I mean? Power Matrix is legit.
So, Tom, what are you thinking of if you weren't going to play what you were currently planning on playing? Of what's available right now, same question to you. What would you want to try out?
I mean, I said earlier I want to play race. Like I'm gonna put it on the board and actually try it out. Kind of some what Carmona was saying earlier, which kind of piqued my interest. And I know he plays over on the West Coast, and there's a lot of Chaos Space Marine players there, and it sounds like they're picking up the race quite fast. He said earlier. So you can bet your bottom dollar, me and Brad's gonna have a weekend very soon where I'm gonna make him put Chaos Space Marines against it.
I think you would smash with that because you have threats of it. It's the thing is right now like somebody that's aggressive like Tom but can use tempered aggression. That army is just scary because like if you deploy too aggressively, you get hit. If you deploy too defensively, well then they just move on the objectives and hide. And because they can go through walls, they always get to go as the crow flies. You know what I mean? So, and they can also bump over because they have fly. They can just jump over your screens. And that just gives you so many options and gives you such a big threat range of things you can do. I think that that's going to be a very utility army. Like I said, it's at its base value. It just looks like a GUR, push up. But I think it gives a lot of different opportunities for in-game mechanics that you can use and just threaten people, especially if you know the missions really well, because you're playing slower games. So we played Vital, for instance, for the last round. That's a lower scoring mission with only the 2 objectives and only 2 points for your home. Like you can really just start locking people out by just threatening to be on the objectives and then taking them away. You just have so many ways that you can play. You have a lot of things on the board too.
Well, this Sunday coming up, Brad, we're gonna play, right? Are you switching to practice Sundays?
Practice Sundays.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna come this Sunday then, and I'm gonna bring some Necrons, and I want to play against Chaos Space Marines.
I think that they have a good plan to that. I mean, the fact that you've got the army just has a lot of things like death marks, nice unit that can deep strike and take and score secondaries. You've got Flayed One for deploying units. You've got the unit of obviously the race that can forward deploy, but then you've got a good amount of strong stuff. You've got a backline, Sentinels, Doomstalkers, getting full rerolls in your backfield, from the Power Matrix always being on in your deployment zone. So you've just got options of things. I just think it's a very strong army, and it's going to give a lot of other armies. Is it OP? I don't think so. I think that it just gives you opportunities to do things.
That's like my big thing. The thing I want to try out right now, and it's probably just a me thing. I want to try the Data Plasma Conclave out for AdMech. I think it's got a lot of interesting play. I think it's got some good strats, some odd maneuvering capabilities, which I like.
Agree with that. Amount of money you're gonna make me flip on that. Everybody playing John's list. We were already making that list. We had it already. Drives me crazy.
We sent that. Brad and I talked about that list weeks before it even happened. So,
well, the kicker is that he's running Eradicators. I ran Eradicators like 2 months ago.
Well, the thing is that he came out. The thing is those Vanguard things they're just really strong. Zach Onion. Do you guys ever stream games? If not, why do you hate us? Thank you for the super chat. We will be on the new year. We had to get everything together with our streaming equipment, and we're going to be streaming from different locales. We're going to be streaming from the chilly Michigan winter state, and we're going to be streaming from the even chillier upper New York state.
Absolutely. The upper New York state stuff will be not just meta games. We'll also be doing some narrative games as well.
I gave it to the people. Hell yeah. You have to give John props, huge props. He did really well. Dude, I have to give Lennon mad props on that because he had to play somewhere between 57 and 8,000 games that weekend coming from the losers bracket. And, the shenanigans that went on, it's no big deal. But
His sportsmanship was on really good to show there. Like, One thing you can take or give from him ever is like his sportsmanship. You got to think like he had a weird shenanigans that happened to him, and I think he handled it with absolutely utmost class. Like, you got to respect it.
That is one of the things that you can say very heavily about the U.S. meta nowadays. Is the sportsmanship in the U.S. has gone leaps and bounds from where it was years ago, and it's really nice.
100%. Uh-oh. My body condo is ready to stream. See, you're part of the Michigan Mojo.
Yep. Here we go. It'd be weird though if people watched our practice games. Like me and Brad talk about this a lot. When me and Brad practice, we will re-rack constantly. Yep. We played one time 6 hours at the Toledo game room, and we never got out of the first turn. We only played deployment first turn, and then by the time we got done the first turn, one of us already learned something new. We wrote each other's lists for each other. Like we helped each other rewrite a list like 2 or 3 times each, and like 6 hours of that, just re-racking. Okay, cool. We got through the first turn. All right, I think I can do better. Cool, let's re-rack this. Deployment. I mean, we changed the way we deployed everything. It was very fun, but it'd be weird for people to like watch that because I think when people watch games, they kind of want to watch it to its end, and sometimes we play to the end, but it's rare. Like I could probably in the 2 or 3 years me and Brad's been practicing together, count in one hand how many times we've even made it out of turn 3.
Yeah, because we keep figuring it out. Every time you play practice, you should be learning something all the time. To be honest with you, even if it's something small, it's a big deal. You know what I mean? So it's hugely on that. 100%. Let's make. I want to
go to the board real quick. I don't care.
Sure.
He actually thinks Manny got way too much shit. Not cool. I can kind of agree with that. Manny has a reputation of not being the best sportsmanship, per se. But that weekend, just because we think John had amazing sportsmanship doesn't mean we're saying that Manny had bad sportsmanship that weekend. Manny was 100% within his rights to not want to risk. I mean, it was the first World Championship, and he had the advantage by being in the winner's bracket. He didn't fight for it. He didn't ask for the game to be like overturned. John just volunteered it, and just because he didn't want to give up his advantage doesn't mean he did anything wrong. But we're not attacking him when we say that John had great sportsmanship. John just had great sportsmanship. You can play against someone and someone could be like a good opponent. But then the person across that board just was even a better sportsmanship. It's possible to have that way. So I don't want you to take like we're actually attacking Manny's character. But I just think, and personally, I think John just showed a lot of class that weekend.
Agreed, 100%.
Agreed.
I'm going to give you guys' wish list. We got Christmas coming up. What does Santa, what was the orc? God, what is the new model? The Santa orc.
The red gobbo.
What do you need that the red gobbo comes and ruins your house when he shows up? But rules wise, what needs to happen to CSM? Well, it's not even just that. I'm going to give you 2. What needs to happen to CSM and Eldar? And what generally do you want to see out of anything? Just things that'll change. What is your Christmas data slate wishes?
So Christmas data slate wish list is you take the 2 avatars for Eldar and punt them into the sun. In particular, the Incarn needs to be like 450 point cost wise, just so I don't have to deal with that garbage anymore. If you're gonna eradicate a rules line, make the Night Spinner so it's written like every other thing where you can still advance, but it's just -2. For CSM, they just need point increases on Chosen. In particular, I think Oblitz need a minor point increase. And I think the Chaos Lord needs to go up probably 20 points.
What about yourself, Tom?
I align with some things that Brian said, but I mean, 450 points to Incarn just
bonkers.
I think she's very strong.
Just change the mechanic.
I want her punted into the sun.
Well, the thing is, I think she's fine. I think a little bit of point increase. I don't think it needs to be 450 points. Making something unplayable is never the right move, in my opinion. I don't think it's the Incarn that's just winning games. I know there's going to be some things where you do some crazy things and able to combo it. But a lot of those games where you see the Incarn get into the backfield and do what she did just because it was misplay by the opponent. Like there's ways you could have blocked it. I would like to see her ability be counted as a redeployment. So there is some armies that could play with that and either overwatch it or stop it. Like if you have infiltrator, stop it from doing that. Like so, there is some blocks to it. I think if you take away Night Spinner alone, like not the whole unit, but if you just make it -2, I think you'll see the win percentage drop down quite a bit. So I think that one unit, when you're massing 2 or 3 of them, can just single-handedly beat an army. But it's minor point increase on a few things. Change that one mechanic a little bit. Chaos Space Marines, Chosen need to go up. They just overhit for their point value right now. I'd like to see a few tweaks to some of the mechanics. I think the way they can spam certain rules just by having 1 or 2 units is pretty strong. But the thing is, I don't know about that one. I'm not a great game designer, so I don't know if I could like give you a good change to that to make it balanced, because I don't want to over nerf it. But some point increases definitely need to be in Chaos Space Marines, Chosen. I think Obliterators. And then I think you should decide which Nurgle units could use that one strat where you can make them untargetable, because I think it's easily spam, and that can be game changing.
It is
2 CP on that one.
maybe. Yeah. Let me go to the super chat real quick. Hold on. Peach Destroyer, the $5 super chat. Brad, 10-man Wookar with Stormbolters and heirloom weapons. Do I take Chaplain, Lieutenant, Libby, and Gladius with the Fire Dust Splinter, or Ulrich if they all go on a Rhino? I do like the Chaplain quite a bit in that. And you do need Fire Discipline on somebody. You know what I mean? It's a volume of that. If you're going to take that unit, I kind of want Champion and Captain, to be honest with you. Can the Chaplain double up on that, or is it just only Lieutenant? I think it's just Lieutenant. I'm trying to think if I can get 2 guys in that unit. It does become pretty pricey at that point in time. Still bangs out. I mean, one of the main reasons to take Gladius, to be honest with you, is just that the strat plus the enhancement just makes for a nutbag unit if you're firing bolt weapons and stuff, or just any volume, weapon. It's just crazy on that. With the extra, the explosions and everything else. It's big.
A couple things I want to hit real quick before we go in there. First off, Care, yes, someone won a major without spinners and the Incarn. I mean, I don't think the army is that bad without those 2 units, to be honest with you. It's very strong.
So deep.
But I think it's much more in line with other codex when you don't have those 2 units. So if the guy won the major without it, I didn't see it. But if you won it without the Incarn and spinners, power to that man. It's a great codex. It should win events if it's piloted right. Going in a couple things there, like we see, I agree with you. I think if the Nurgle strat should only be eligible on Rhinos if they're empty or full of Nurgle units. I think that's a great way of doing it. Maybe an extra CP for it. Who knows? It needs to be changed a little bit, in my opinion. I think it's pretty easily abused right now.
And if I had to make a wish list thing, I wish they would take some of the stuff that's playable, but their points are too expensive for a lot of armies, and just lowered their points to where they were playable.
Also want to hit up Alexander Singleton. Infiltrators do screen out Incarn, don't they, as the Incarn's reposition? No, the Incarn's ability is not labeled as a
reinforcements
redeploy. Yep. So it doesn't get affected by any of that. And technically some TOs some will let you, but most won't let you even overwatch against it. It's weird because it's not a normal move. It's just a weird thing.
Yeah, he just replaces his old rule was fantastic, by the way, where you used to be able to reposition as much as possible, but you just couldn't charge immediately. So it was great on your opponent's phase, but you always had to make risks because you had to sit there for a turn, you know what I mean, before you could go. So it was a super cool rule, but it also gave you a risk assessment based on that. Now there's none. You're like, oh, I killed a small unit, cool, I'm just there, I charge. You know what I mean? An unfailable charge too. It's so nuts.
I get that meta that's 95% heavy Incarn, but I don't think it's I'm more worried about Night Spinners when I play against it than the Incarn, to be honest with you.
True story.
Yeah, the Incarn's always the problematic unit for me.
It's just Night Spinners are so crazy, dude. It's just the complete shut off of advance plus the -2 move is just bonkers. You can just lock people down. It's just my Eldar list. Anytime I make an Eldar list, I start with 2 Night Spinners because they're such a problem child. Their mechanics just nuts. I mean, one of the things else is everybody else that has that rule only targets infantry also. You know what I mean? So like it can do anybody. You're like, hey, I can make a super heavy just -2. It,
I still think Night Spinners is the problem child. And don't get me wrong, I might not have enough games against the Incarnate. I've only played against it 4 times this edition, but all 4 times I didn't give them targets. Anything that could be killed real easily from out of sight wasn't on the board, so I didn't let them do it. And then I was able to pick up the Incarnate every single game. One of the games I played it did some damage to me, but a unit that's expensive, it should do some damage in my opinion. But it's about positioning yourself. Don't give yourself a weak opening. Know what you're. And granted, I guess I had the advantage of playing Eldar when I first came back because Brad made me play them my first game back.
You're
So
welcome.
I kind of understood like the damage output and what things could do. And as long as you control that and you don't give it a huge opening, it's a good unit. It's gonna do damage to it. It should, but it's not like game breaking in my opinion. A lot of times when we see these people, like even at Nova when we was talking to Steven, and was getting off those crazy ass charges and shooting, if it was poor playing, like people put like all left this 4-unit Imperial agents on the board that one Night Spinner.
But you can just high roll sometimes with the 2 Night Spinners. Yeah. Just go for dev wounds and just pick shit up. You know what I mean?
It's hard. It's hard to high roll with the changes they did to some of the things in my opinion. Like,
well, not really. It's still 2 dev wounds. You know what I mean? So like per goes through. So you just double down on some. You do, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden you just bury a 10 wound thing and just have it killed, or a unit of something that has 10 wounds. You know what I mean? They reliably put out some serious damage. Let me super chat it real quick. Peaches with a $5 and a $2. I'll read them both. Also taking 2 5-man Grey Hunters with 2 Meltas, 4 Chainswords, and a Power Fitch in each squad. In a Rhino. Double down, run 4 squads and 2 Rhinos, add characters. P.S. I just like to have my best pal Brad talk space. So thank you, brother. In that, I don't know if I want that because of the fact that I'm still not putting out a volume. I think that the Grey Hunters right now, the problem is the Grey Hunters are a little bit meh in their output. So there's just other options there. If you want to, have the Grey Hunters because of Flavortown with the Space Wolves, 100% you could rock that out because you definitely want the 5/5s in that. It just depends on what you want with the Grey Hunters. So I don't hate that at all. Definitely the Power Fist in there just adds a little bit of juice on that. And I'm never going to say no to 2 Meltas. Even though they should have a higher strength because it's an anti-tank weapon that has lower strength than all of the tank stuffness. That still just bugs me.
All right, so we're at that time of the night where people are going to shout out things. So Brad, what are you doing next?
I am going to be excited for Christmas. I've got my 40K Lorecast. Check that out. Of course, please like and subscribe to all the DOG videos. I have a solo deal with it going on tomorrow because Mr. Sean Rice is going to be out of town. And I'm going to record that. And then, of course, we've got me with Still Frosty on Wednesday. We've got the revamped and relaunched Thursday show where we're really going to be pushing for what the community wants to see because I want to get the community more involved on Thursdays. I want to start focusing on community. I want to start showcasing miniatures,
Brad,
local
Brad,
tournaments.
there's a super chat.
There's a super chat you're doing, Brad.
Look, man, I was going to tell my prompts, and then looks like we've got a $1.99 specifically super chat from Jamas Togden, who says, I just want to hear Brad tell us, go blue.
Go blue, baby. Guess who's in the college football playoffs?
I will.
Not OSU, baby.
I will be.
The victors.
The best part about that is I will be cheering for Michigan because it's Big Ten for life.
Yeah. Hey, I had one of my friends like, man, I'm so glad the rivalry is not lopsided anymore. I'm pretty sure 3 in a row is getting lopsided. It's about to be 4-0 next week.
Screw you.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but next year they might have to actually play them twice because there's a 12-man playoff.
True story.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Harburg wins CFP this year, he's not staying. He's going back to NFL.
And then we get Roll Tide. Yeah, whatever. I'll end the show on Florida State should call a lawyer because they had a crime committed against them.
Agreed.
Woo.
Well, everyone, it's that time of night. Just gonna let everyone know, you can pull out the classic Lyle. Stay milky.
Later, everyone.